Hi, everyone, and good morning. So great to have you here with us today. I'm Melissa Mullen with Beck Technology, and I'm here today with Justin Wetherby from Gilbane Company, and we are going to be discussing kind of him and his team's experience transitioning to a new estimating tool, as well as how they've been able to streamline some of their workflows since then. And Justin, without further ado, if I can hand it over to you and you can give us a little bit of background on yourself.
Sure. Well, you know my name, Justin Wetherby, Gilbane Building Company. I've been with Gilbane 15 years, 20 in the industry. First, and I just have to apologize, my kitchen is actually being done right now. So if you hear loud banging, I'm not locked in my room somewhere under my own will. Everything's fine, just letting everyone know. But anyway, yeah, 15 years at Gilbane. I've been 5 years in estimating. Prior to that was about 10 years in what's called document review and cleaning up construction documents and helping architects. So it's been my whole career has been in the pre-construction phase of that. I've spent some time in the field, so I had a lot of fun doing that. But most of my background is in pre-construction. And my current role for the last year has been helping implement this new estimating platform across all estimators across the company. So my role is also estimating, but it's also a dual role in supporting all our estimators company-wide and helping them with this estimating new platform that we have with Beck Technology, and making that a common knowledge share for using that platform across the company.
Awesome. And speaking of estimator, Justin, I'm really curious to hear. So, when did your team realize that it was time to switch to a new estimating tool? And when y'all did, what was that experience like transitioning over?
Whew. So it's been a long road. I mean, I think I did a timeline, and I've had conversations with Beck that probably went back 4 maybe years, 3 years. So it's been a long road. When we first decided to okay, we're going to do this, I'd say we're probably in the 2 to 3 year range from when we actually first had conversations to where we are today. Um, what was it like? Oh boy. Or why did we switch? Why did we make the move? Is probably the best thing. The biggest two problem statements that we had, we wanted a more leaner approach. We wanted a more efficient workflow of how we do estimates, how we do estimating here at Gilbane. So we were predominantly a timberline shop. All our estimates were done utilizing that platform. We used on-screen takeoff for our takeoff tools. We also used Assemble for 3D takeoff tools. We used Bluebeam for some takeoff tools. We used Excel in between all this other stuff. And within Timberline, we would have a mechanical database. We have an architectural database. We had databases that span business units. So we understood that we needed to, there was a huge way of improvement. We knew we could get better, we could get leaner. And so we wanted to make sure we had a better team estimating environment. So when we're working on an estimate, we're all working together. And at the end of the day, when it's the final hour and you have to get an estimate done, we're not pulling Timberline files together. That's kind of how we're doing it. We're taking a mechanical estimate or an architectural estimate or another estimator, civil estimate, and trying to pull it all together within Timberline, get it all done, pull together on-screen takeoff, or we do all our takeoff, a new set of drawings got updated. So we knew that there was a lot of rework and last minute hassle that had to be done in doing all our our workflow. We knew it wasn't lean. We wanted to get lean. We wanted to make sure that we could get through the entire estimate process quicker, better, faster, and we wanted to do that. We had so many tools. We had, like I said, we had Timberline, Excel, Bluebeam, OnScreen. We had all these tools, Assemble. We knew that if there were not, we would either start creating bridges between the two to make sure everyone's talking to one another so we could be more efficient. But we wanted a lean tool, one place to go to do takeoff, one place to do 3D takeoff, one place to do my estimates, one place to do all my Excel stuff or dashboards or anything I wanted to do. I wanted one place to do that. So we needed to do that. So the big problem statement, I really kind of, if you step back, was to be quicker, better, faster, leaner in our workflow, and that was why we needed to make a move.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, and definitely hear that when you have so many different tools that you're juggling, there's a lot of stuff that gets lost in translation, right? You touched on, it was a long journey, right? It was quite a long road to get to that point of switching to a new platform. So could you tell me a little bit, like what would you do differently if you could do it all over again?
So I thought about that a lot. Like, what would we do differently? Um, the biggest thing that I think I kind of am taking away from this was we did a lot of analysis, right? We brought a bunch of people in the room very early on, had a lot of feedback, a lot of discussions, which was fantastic. The hardest part is maintaining that for 2 years, right? That's a long time to get people. So when I say people, the right people, it was a broad brush. It was the users up to chief estimators, right, and pre-construction managers to really kind of get us from day one to where we're at today. So I think we did that well very early on. What would we do differently is make sure we have that level of commitment through the whole thing and the accountability. And what I mean by accountability is people, and this is hard, so hard. I don't know how there's no, I'm not saying like this is a eureka moment, like this is not something new, but people have day jobs, they have estimates they have to get done, they have multiple estimates they get done, they have clients to service, they have a to-do list that's a mile long, right? I understand that, and people have stuff to do. But when it comes to this and rolling out a new software and teaching estimators a different workflow and in trying to improve and get leaner and change, just it's change. Getting estimators to change requires a lot of accountability and maintenance and perseverance, and you gotta the urge to deprioritize this is going to happen. But if I wanted to tell somebody as they go through this journey, it's a long journey, and you're gonna be, that's the hardest thing you're probably going to face is a lot of people, and you need a lot of people in the room to get the different perspectives to make sure at the end of the day you have a workflow that works for predominantly everybody. But you have to make sure those people in the room and they're accountable for being in the room, and that they're there, because that's the only thing that I really kind of say I wish we really emphasized in the beginning. I think it was there in the beginning, but after 2 years, things wane, is that everyone in that room is going to make a hardline commitment until this is done, and done maybe 2 years from now, that they will be there, they're going to be accountable to get things done, and they will not make this, it will get deprioritized, but come on, let's get it somewhere on the top of the list. That's my only advice, and it's hard. There's no silver lining. There's no answer to it. I wish I could tell you, but um, that's the only thing that kind of when you propose that question, that's the only thing that kind of
Well,
floated to the top on that. And
just quickly
yeah, go
follow.
ahead.
You talked a lot. It's hard, it's difficult, and the reality is it's always going to be that way. I think transitioning, especially a larger company, to any new platform, there's going to be growing pains, but obviously you guys felt that it was worth it. Could you maybe talk a little bit about, like, why did you guys choose to make that a priority? I mean, you talked a little bit about, you wanted to be leaner, but it was a hard journey. And what was the payoff worth it? Are you seeing the fruits now?
Oh, the two things, right? Probably that I can talk about. I can go on for a long time, but like I'm just gonna pick two, just for essence of time and importance. The one thing, the most painful thing that people, estimators, in our workflow had was that um, no one ever had plenty of time to do an estimate. It's never like, oh, I got 3 weeks to do an estimate, and I only need one. That never happens, right? It's always like, I got 1 week to do an estimate, and it's 2 weeks worth of work, and or whatever it is, and at that final moment, and trying to get everything together in a deliverable, and making sure all the pieces and parts come together. That was a pain. That was a painstaking, like from 1 to 10, 10 being the most painful. That was definitely on the top. To the last minute to pull it all together in a timberline estimate was painful. But now, like what we have today, team estimating environment that we have, that's gone. It's
Wow.
gone. We don't have to pull estimates together anymore. We go in, we get our work done. I am a part of a piece of that estimate. I get that done and I get out. Everyone comes in. We have a lead estimator running the show, making sure that everything still gets done. And there's no more assembly, right? Or pulling it all together. That is done. That whole workflow of trying to piece it together, and do I have everything? Something change? Oh, I got to make a change. You got to pull mine out and pull it back in. That's no more an issue. It's gone. So the time and pain that we had has been eliminated. So it's a pain, has been gone. It's time saved for us. So I tell estimators all the time, like, don't you remember the old days, like with putting this together? And they're like, oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, what we had to do, that stunk, and now that's gone. So that's a big one. And then two is historical cost. Right now, we would either use a database to load timberline estimates to a historical cost database, or pull them together in Excel spreadsheets of latest estimates. We don't do that anymore. Now with team estimating, we have the ability to get real-time historical cost on estimate data. That's huge. And break that estimate data to CSI, master format, unit format, or anything. We have that information right to our fingertips. It's extremely like powerful stuff. And it's a part of every person's workflow. It's not like I have to go do something else to get the data, or prep the data, or make sure the data is good. It's good data. It's in the estimate. It's good. It's sorted. Its WBS codes are all set. It's available, and all we need to do is see it. So those are probably the two biggest positives that we've seen in moving.
That's incredible, Justin. And that sounds like, I mean, frankly, it sounds like it was well worth the wait. You had to go through a hard journey, but it eliminated a lot of pain that y'all were dealing with previously. Really
Yeah,
quickly, I've got some questions from the audience that I want to get to. So the
yeah,
first one we have, and if you're able to speak on this, they were wanting to
yeah.
know, what were the other alternative solutions that you and your team reviewed before going with Beck Technology?
Oh yeah, easy. Yeah, we did an exploratory. So Beck Technology was one of them. Tremble, the Vico solution was one of them. Uh, there was another one. Geez, it was 2 years ago. Oh boy, there was another one that Cost X, I think was the name of the program. Those are the three that I remember. So I think it was still stay with Timberline. So we did a thorough analysis of what either stay with Timberline, right? Just keep going with Timberline. Cost X, I think, was the other one. Beck Technology, Vico was the fourth. I think it was 4 options at the time that we analyzed.
Okay, awesome. Okay, and then the other question we've got here real quick. Um, are your teams, are they using the 2D and 3D takeoff component within Estimator, or are you guys still using OST and Assemble?
We are still using OST and Assemble, and we're also using Estimator as a 2D platform. So here's the thing, and I'm going to be completely honest to everyone in the room, so the current, and trust me, I'm not telling Beck anything they haven't heard before. I'm just being honest. Their 2D platform has a component that is frustrating in regards to our workflow, right? It does for 2D, it does everything we need to do except if for all the OST users out there, if you're familiar with areas and zones, it is a extremely helpful piece of that functionality. The current version of Beck that's available does not deal well with locations in zones and areas, how you would understand it for the OST folks out there. But the next version of Beck that's going to be released this year, which is called 2D auto pricing, we are waiting for that. That is going to be, I've seen the beta version of 2D auto pricing, and it pretty much solves that problem. It's not as easy and simple as zones in OST, or OST, but it basically captures your ability to do 2D takeoff and still have the ability to assign a location code for mapped items, and you're able to manage that either during your takeoff or after the fact. That was the problem statement. If I've done takeoff and I've mapped costs in our current software solution, and I have to change it to like phase 1, phase 2, or break it up by a floor, or do whatever I need to do, is it kind of a pain in the butt. 2D auto pricing solves that problem. So what are we? So Gilbane is kind of waiting on that version to fully roll out that 2D. I don't want to teach. We are teaching our estimators like this is what the 2D tool does. We've kind of done that, and we've kind of given our estimators a choice. Hey, if you want to continue using OST, use OST. If you want to use Estimator, here's the pros and cons of both. But going forward, I would say the second half of this year, we're going to be, once auto pricing is there, we're going to get ourselves off of OST and get ourselves onto Estimator, because there are benefits of putting your takeoff and your estimate in one place. I think we all agree that's the place to go, right? To have your 2D and your estimate and your 3D all intertwined and connected. That makes sense to everybody. But that's the one component that we are waiting for. I've done 2D takeoff in Estimator. I've done it. And I think the question also talked about 3D takeoff. Yes, we're using 3D takeoff as well. Other estimators really love Assemble. That's fine. In my opinion, you can get pretty much anything you possibly can, for the most part, from your 3D tool, the BIM 360 module. So I've done 3D takeoff, 2D takeoff. So I've done it the whole gambit of it. But we've rolled out the 3D tools, and I would say the second quarter of this year, or the second half of this year, we will be rolling out a full implemented OST 2D takeoff.
Awesome. Okay, thanks so much, Justin. So I
Yeah.
want to one other question. I know we're running up on time, but you know, so obviously you were able to remove a pretty huge pain point transitioning to Estimator, and a lot of that involved being able to go into that integrated platform, not having to jump around so much. Have there been any other ways that you and your team have been able to streamline your workflows since implementing Estimator? And obviously, it doesn't have to be directly related to it, but just maybe things that you kind of started realizing as y'all were using it, like, hey, wait, maybe we could do this differently as well.
Um, the I would say the one thing that I think I had, so it's something that when we rolled out this platform, maybe is there any workflow that has changed after doing this, or any other benefits that we maybe didn't anticipate? Um, is that kind of your question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, I would say the biggest the biggest thing that we probably realized that maybe, and this could be me, is dashboards within the module. I mean, when we first kind of got involved in doing estimates, we wanted a common estimating platform, 2D, 3D reports that look like branded Gilbane reports. That was a main focus, right? We were razor, and the database and historical costs were all razor focused on that. And the one thing that probably snuck up on us that made our workflow a little different, that changed a little bit, was the ability to leverage dashboards within the program. And having that capability did us, it opens up a lot of things, right? To be able to use that dashboard to present your estimate. And the biggest one that we've used is client specific information. We have clients that want to see our estimates their way, whether it's a weird master format breakout, or they need their numbers or their spreadsheet filled out, right? Or they need their bid form filled out just the way we want. And I think we all understand we would do our estimate and then try and manipulate their sheet to get it, and then the estimate would change and the cycle would kind of keep going over. We wanted the direct link, and your ability to take a client bid form or a client spreadsheet, put it into the software, tie your cost to their sheet. So as you do your estimate, you see their sheet get populated automatically. You make changes, their sheet gets updated. And when you're done, all you do is export, file print, or just file print, or whatever you need to do, is extremely powerful. And so it's either a client bid form or a client spreadsheet or a business unit. Like Gilbane's big, we got different ways we all want to see information differently, but to have a common database is also important. So how do you manage that? Dashboards was kind of the way to do that. So you can kind of do whatever you want. You can present the information however you want it, with your estimate data, and have a direct tie to that. That was extremely kind of like came in kind of after the fact, and as an afterthought to, like, that did change our workflow a little bit. I mean, not so much, but like, hey, by the way, this is an added feature that I know totally underrepresented at the time, and it was like dashboards. Yeah, that's neat. Whatever, let's move on. But we're leveraging more for, like I said, clients, bid forms, alternates, options, VE, A3, one-page graphic representation, all bunch of really cool stuff that we're able to present, other than just a standard branded Excel report or a branded estimate report. I don't know if
That's
that answered your question.
Yes, that definitely, yeah, that more than answers my question. That's incredible, Justin. It sounds like, especially what you were saying about dashboards, That's amazing. It was something that, you said you kind of brush it off, but it's become something that's been really useful for you and your team. Um, so the last thing that I just want to hit on before we wrap up here, is there anything that you're looking forward to that you're excited about in regards to pre-con initiatives and technology this year?
It's a major push is historical cost. Like that is the cream of the crop for us right now. I mean, we have so much data available to us, and we're leveraging. I know there's Power BI, but we are at Gilbane. We are a MicroStrategy shop, so we built a lot of things around that. We're not using Power BI and MicroStrategy, exact same things, right? It's just a data harvesting tool, and our ability to now have all this data available to us in real time that can be transposed in a lot of different ways. So we have the ability to, I keep calling it like the cars.com, where you can go log in and you pick your estimates, pick your locations, or pick your market sectors, and it looks at all that project. That's valuable information. So what are we looking forward to in the short term is really that is tremendous information that at our fingertips that we have, because that helps, like all the estimators out there, like you need to tell a story about your estimates. When you produce an estimate, you're going to need to defend your estimate. So, but now we have all this information available to us to show, here's our estimate, here's how that compares to other estimates, similar size, scope, project, and be able to tell a really, really visual story, not a spreadsheet of cost, a visual story of how your estimate boils to down. I'm really looking forward to that. And then that's short term. I mean, long term, 3D takeoff is always going to get better. I'm really looking forward to what's called an estimate within an estimate, so you can handle VE and alternates and all kinds of stuff within the Beck's technology software. But um, I mean, I'm not a data geek, but I think it's just super important.
Yeah, there's a lot, like you said, there's a lot you can do when you're able to harness all that data and make it work for you. Well, we are right up on the end of time, Justin. I want to thank you so much for being here with us today. This was a great conversation. Really appreciate hearing from you. And to our audience still on the line, please keep an eye on your inboxes. You are going to get a copy of this recording so you can watch it at your leisure, share it with others. And then also keep an eye on our website, beck-technology.com. On our events page, we will have more information about April's webinar coming up real soon. Thank you, everyone, again for being here with us today, and we hope to see you soon. Bye, guys.
All right, take care. Thanks.